and then I have a question.
Sure, fire away.
The quick update is I actually submitted 2 applications today internally. The one that we thought was getting postponed, I actually had a really great follow-up conversation with the hiring manager, and he's like, oh, they just took it off because there was just so many applications. But he sent a follow-up email to the recruiter and said, send her this link and then also start setting up interviews for her.
Perfect.
So that was my quick update. I have another one that I'm going to be doing, but here's my question.
I think the 18th deadline is very doable, and I really think the 11th is the one that will push it, but like the 18th, very doable.
Okay, so definitely keeping in mind the visual and the experience of that bullet train, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's my follow-up question. I had a hard time just going through the motion of just submitting it. Like I literally felt resistance when I knew I had a straight shot just to apply. Had a great conversation with both of the hiring managers, but then for some reason I just sort of had this resistant. Can you look at that?
Yeah,
It almost feels like self-sabotage.
It's a bit of that and a little bit of super self-conscious. Yeah. That's okay. Like the self-sabotage part. Hold on, let me look at something real quick.
And by the way, I'm very aware that I'm doing it. I'm very aware that that's happening.
Yeah.
Like it's no longer a subconscious experience for me. It's very much a conscious experience.
I'm not super aware, like concerned about the self-conscious part. Like that's there, and it might make you question yourself a little bit, but that one's not that negative. Like you know what I mean? It kind of keeps the perspective a little bit. Like you said, like it could potentially turn a little bit of self-sabotage. Everybody has the potential for self-sabotage, by the way, but this is what I'd like you to do for that. So some form of lovage by itself. Do you have just like regular lovage leaf, anything like that?
I actually have the lovage oil, and I have the lovage. Is it the body tonic?
Okay, just the oil for this. So you're gonna put your awareness on the like the inside of like your front pelvis, but like the inside of the pelvis, like where the muscles are, like if you went to the bones. And then even your low back, like are you aware of like feeling your psoas, like your hip flexors a little bit?
I was going to ask you about the psoas. Doesn't it run across the?
It runs up and down the spine.
Yeah.
Like it comes from the thigh bones, goes up through the pelvis, and then like kind of does this on the front part of the spine.
Yep.
If you're not super aware of it, it's okay. But just like the front of the pelvis, the muscles in the pelvis, like just kind of that whole. You know how like when we go up the body and we go, okay, put your awareness on your legs, on your pelvis, the sides of your hips, the back of your hips, the floor of your pelvis. Just do the front of your pelvis.
Okay.
And then a little bit up into the low back. Like if you can just tap in a little bit close to your spine, do that several times. And then like inhalations of 20, 25 times. And then let it rest for a minute. And then 20, 25 times, maybe only do it 2 or 3 times in a sitting. And then I think in your kit, I can't remember which kit's kit, but do you have emotional release?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, then follow it up and just wherever you feel it in your body after that, inhale the emotional release, it'll flush it out.
Okay, just in general.
That's very specific to self-sabotage.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very specific.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, because it's not so much like the sex organs. It's not about sex, but that area is tied to how we process things from the environment and socially and all kinds of things. And that's what you're bumping up against.
Well, what's so weird is like even talking about this, I'm like sweating.
Yeah. Well, if you think about like self-sabotage is anytime you've had a super negative experience, like, okay, I put myself out there and then I wasn't picked, or I was scolded, or I didn't get the job, or I was penalized. All of that is like going to turn into self-sabotage the next time, like, oh, careful, you remember what happened. And it might not have been about a job. It could have been something on the playground. It could have been something, you know, something where you just put yourself out there socially and had it come back on you. It
Oh,
like where it lands in the body is in the front part of your pelvis, like that.
okay. I know exactly what it's about. It's the
Yeah.
topic and the person we talked about on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be current, it could be old, could be a pattern, could be any of that. But the body doesn't see the story. The body just is like, careful. You know, that's all it's thinking about. Like, remember that time. You know, the stories don't matter. Like, just work the lovage in those areas and let it release.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so
You're
much.